That makes the little it makes the YouTube clipping easier if I start
Yes,
with
we'll have the perfect thumbnail. Hey everybody, welcome to the first of 3 post-upgrade 3.9 trainings. My video is off because my connection is unstable. So apologies for that, but hopefully it will make the quality a little better. My name is Catherine Donnell, and I will be discussing consolidated patron notes, and we're also adding on some new content regarding the patron triggered events log, which has been a feature, but I think was not properly, was not displaying the way that it does.
Uh-oh, did we lose Kat? Or is it just me?
No.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm
Okay.
here. Yeah. What part did you hear?
You said the patron events log wasn't displaying correctly, which is true.
Yeah. Yes, it was not displaying the way it's supposed to. So we wanted to show how I'm going to also turn off incoming video. 1 sec. Okay. Yes, so we are going to discuss that. So let's just get right into it. So for today's agenda, I'll be doing the introduction, which I'm doing now, and then we're going to talk about the patron triggered events log. I'll give you an overview, and then we'll do like a little demo of what it looks like. Then we'll go into the consolidated patron notes interface, which is mostly the same content as it was last time, but we wanted to make sure that we did the training again so that anybody who didn't get an opportunity would get an opportunity, and also so that we could get some Q&A time. So the patron triggered events log, you can find that in the patron record under other and under triggered events notifications. It's an interface that will allow you to view and sort triggered events and notifications easily. So these are the triggered events that are associated with circulation and holds, and you can use this interface to see if a notification was generated, and you can also use it to cancel an event or notification or reset it. So I'm going to show you on this profile. So we're in the patron record and it's under other, and you'll go to triggered events / notifications, and this will open in a new tab. So this first tab here is any triggered event that is related to circulation. So you'll see pre-due notices, overdue notices, and auto renew notices in here, as well as events like mark item lost or mark item long overdue. The holds tab will display events like holds notifications and any curbside pickup triggers, and the email and as well as text notifications events will also display here. So I'm going to show you what you're seeing here. So as with most of the interfaces, you can manage your columns. You can decide which columns you'd like to display. You can move them around however you want, and then just make sure to save them when you're done. So we're seeing the name of this triggered event is courtesy notice email. So that means this is basically the pre-due notice, and you're seeing that the reactor, aka what action was taken, is that an email was sent. You can see what time the event happened or what time the email was sent. And then you can see that the event is complete, which means that it finished this triggered event. Other things you might see would be pending, So that would mean that the event has not finished yet, or you might see an error. So, oh, and Elizabeth just let me know that curbside is running for everyone. So everyone will see a curbside event, even if they don't use the service on the holds tab. It will just say invalid if that's not set up at your libraries.
The other thing that I wanted to note, and apologies, Kat, if you were going
That's
to
okay.
mention this, is that this means that the notice was generated.
Mhm.
It doesn't necessarily most of the time that means that the patron did get it, but there can be occasions where if either the carrier or the like with Gmail, we've had issues with them not recognizing the emails, or
Mhm.
if there's an error in the phone number or the email address or something like that, then there can be a variety of circumstances where this doesn't end up getting to the patron, but it does
Right.
tell you that the system generated the notice. So it's pretty helpful for troubleshooting. I think
Mhm.
especially with the circulations, because you can say, okay, this is, how many times the patron has been contacted about this overdue book. And here's kind of the history of it.
Mhm. Right. So we know the system completed its action, but if there's some other outside factor like a Gmail, filter or something, it doesn't necessarily mean that it reached the patron. That's a good point. And like Elizabeth said, this is the curbside reactor that is invalid because at this location, curbside is not set up. I think that's accurate. Let me know if it's not. And then you'll see the context library where the triggered event occurred from, and then the title of the book and the author of the book. So here you can see that if you right click on any of these, any of the items in the log, you can copy it to your clipboard. You can cancel the selected events, or you can reset the selected events. The cancel will set the event to invalid. If it's already been completed, that doesn't take away necessarily, like it doesn't retract the email. So this would be more for like if something's pending and you catch it in time and you want to cancel it, this is what you would do. If you want to reset this event, meaning you want to set it back to pending and allow it to run through again, you can do that here. So if somebody missed a notification, or say like Gmail did, reject the notification at first, and then we were able to, fix that connection with them, maybe you'd want to reset it so they get the notification again and see if it works that time.
I have a question. I'm looking at
Yeah.
my I picked the patron that I know has like tons of stuff, and if it doesn't go, you said right now, you said if it doesn't go through, it will keep trying, because I see like a couple of the same titles and invalid, and it says complete, like, so it'll keep trying until it goes through and it'll show me. Because that's what it seems like it's doing when I'm looking at that on a one patron that I have.
Sorry, it cut out a little bit. So you said there's a couple that are
Like it's the same
invalid.
title, 1, 2, 3, like it has 1, 2, 3, 4. It says invalid, 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 and complete. That means it's trying to see which one works for it, because it says
Look,
holds.
if you,
Okay.
yeah,
Sorry.
if you look at what's the reactor on the ones that say invalid?
This one says send email, process temp, curbside slot, and send SMS. So different
Okay.
with different ones.
Okay. And which ones are invalid?
The curbside, process temp, and send email.
Okay. So I'm assuming, so the send text is complete.
Yes.
So I'm wondering then if that means that they only chose to get a text notification, and they
Okay.
like how we're saying, you know, even though we don't have curbside set up, it still shows in the log, but it will show as invalid because it's not set up. I think the same goes for if they didn't choose to get an email notification, that will also show as invalid because it wasn't set up to do so. I believe.
Okay.
I believe.
That's
Okay.
right.
Okay, that's right.
correct.
Good.
You're correct.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, of
just so
course.
if you do get a lot of those people, just check their account and make sure that their user settings have the email as a default communication for holds, and then that way it'll send the email in addition.
Right. And if
Kat, will
that's,
you, oh,
yep,
sorry, will
go
you
ahead.
open the gear so we can see the other fields? So I wonder if you turn on, I was wondering if it has like the hold ID or the circ ID.
It looks like it has the event definition ID or event ID. I'm not seeing.
Okay. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking if you could turn on the yeah, so those are all different. Because if you could turn on like the hold ID, then you could see if it was for the same hold or not.
Right.
But yeah, you kind of have to go by if it's the same title and the same date.
Right.
Yeah, all mine the
Yeah.
same dates. They all say 11/10. Like 11/10 is where it tried the emails, then process template. I don't know sure what that is, and then curbside slot, and then the message and SMS. So
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, I guess there's kind of a little bit more, you have to do some inferring from like when it was run and then like the title and the author. So
Process template would be for a print notice.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right. So okay, so then let's see. There's also, oh, there's supposed to be, let's see. Do you know why the filters? Oh, okay. So there are filters that you can, if there were, you know, many events, you could filter these out to find the one that you're looking for.
And Linda
go
had a
ahead.
question in the chat, which is related in partially to the filters. So it says, does this screen have an automatic clear, or do we need to manually remove these notes? So the idea here, Linda, is, and everyone, the idea is that it's a log. And so starting with the day that we upgraded, and Tessa had a patron who had transactions on that, or had notices on that day, starting on the 10th, or technically very late at night on the 9th, all of this data will be tracked in the log. And so you can then filter it by the date. So like in 6 months, there will be a lot of stuff in here. And then you could say, okay, I know that I'm looking for something that happened, you know, in the first week of December. And then you could filter it that way. So these don't need to be cleared. And I think this is part of the reason that it loads in a different tab, is that this is a troubleshooting tool, kind of, you know, if you're trying to figure out how many times a patron has been notified and make sure that the right notices are at least going out, and things like that. So you get to do some digging. And so that's why one of the reasons that it's not one of the tabs in the patron account is it's going to be a lot of data.
Right. And I was reading some of the documentation, and it did say that entries remain for a time period that is established in the trigger event definition, the field retention interval.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure, like do all Spark libraries have the same retention interval for these trigger event definitions? I didn't get a chance to look at that.
Elizabeth, do you know? I don't know.
I can look while we're chatting.
That would be great. Thank you. And just also a reminder that you won't be able to see this interface unless you are logged in as either a Circ supervisor or a lib admin. If you have just cataloging permissions or you have Circ clerk permissions only, you will not be able to see this interface, just so you're aware. Once the items have been picked up or returned and the notices are no longer relevant, is it still stored? Yes, it is. And we're just trying to find out how long it would be stored in this log, depending on the retention interval.
And to Terry's question about privacy concerns, that is the reason that we don't have this, the permissions to allow every login to see this. Most circulation things, all logins can at least view, but we feel like this does give more historical access. And so that's why it's set for circulation supervisors and library admins. The other thing that we can do is that if since this retention policy is something that can be set, if you're interested in having these items cleared more frequently, then we can do that. There isn't, the way the log works, there isn't a way to delete manual entries, and so it's it's how long is that data retained. The other thing that we're looking at kind of consortium wide is, should we be anonymizing circulations after a certain point, so that and that then this kind of information is, it's the information that an item circulation is circulated is retained for circulation stats purposes, but we don't retain who it went out to. So those are definitely some things that libraries nationally are dealing with in terms of privacy concerns, and we've been having some conversations about it, and you can look for more information on some of that those topics in the new year.
Yes, excellent. And also, I mean, we tend to get a lot of tickets too about this patron says they didn't receive this notification for this item, and at least temporarily having access to this log makes it a little bit easier to troubleshoot that. So yeah, it is kind of there are pros and cons to it, for sure. Is the length of data a blanket length? Patron with habitual, we would want data kept longer for patron. Yeah.
And Linda, that's one of the things is we don't have a way to designate that. We don't, any transactions that had, lost books or fines associated with them would be the kind of thing that wouldn't be anonymized, because you need to keep that link for the billing. But yeah, we don't have a way to apply different data retention policies, especially not based on criteria that we set. So that's one of the reasons that having the log is nice, so that it is all there for when you do need to look for it, because there certainly are times where it's very helpful to have that information about what all is going out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's an interesting thought. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think a couple people suggested that, so we will circle back around about if that's something that can be added or changed.
Mm-hmm. Another thing to note too is that you can select multiple entries for which you can then do these either canceling or resetting the events. So that's a nice way to get more done at once. Are there any other questions about the triggered event log before we move on to consolidated patron notes? Okay. So let's stop the recording.